The rooftop is silent under the afternoon sky, but in that suspended moment, Seo-yeon's heart pounds like a drum. She stands frozen beside the metal railing, her twin sister's school uniform perfectly pressed beneath her trembling fingers. Below, the courtyard teems with students laughing and calling to one another, none aware that the popular Kim Seo-jin has been replaced. Seo-yeon swallows hard, summoning courage she's never felt before. A sudden flicker of movement catches her eye. Han Joo-hyuk steps onto the rooftop, textbooks clutched to his chest, his sleeves rolled up to reveal lean forearms. His gentle eyes scan the empty space until they land on her. Seo-yeon clamps her mouth shut, dread coiling in her stomach. He pauses, hesitation in his step. "Seo-jin," he calls softly. Her throat goes dry. She forces herself to meet his gaze, channeling the confidence her sister wears like armor. "Hey," she replies, voice quivering but determined. The uniform feels heavy on her shoulders, but she straightens, dropping her gaze outward to the distant cityscape. "I needed a break." Joo-hyuk steps closer, brow furrowed. "You've been different today." He tilts his head, curious, more alive. The words echo in her mind, sending a shiver down her spine. Never has anyone described Seo-jin as alive, only as cold, perfect, untouchable. Seo-yeon braces herself, heartbeat pounding. A breath escapes her lips. "I read something this morning, a poem that reminded me what it feels like to actually be here, you know?" She reaches into her bag and pulls out a worn copy of a poetry anthology, its corners dog-eared. "Thought I'd share it with you." He sinks onto the bench beside her, careful not to brush her sleeve. Curiosity softens his gaze. "Let me see." As he turns the pages, Seo-yeon watches him. The way his eyebrow arches at certain lines, the faint smile tugging at his lips. She wonders if he would ever have noticed these subtle reactions if she weren't here, pretending to be someone else. Joo-hyuk reads aloud a few lines, voice low and reverent. In the quiet hush between heartbeats, we learn what it means to belong. He pauses, looking up at her. "This feels like you." A lump forms in Seo-yeon's throat. She shifts, unable to meet his eyes. "Maybe I'm just tired pretending." He closes the book gently. "Pretending what?" She inhales, words rushing forward. "Pretending to be someone I'm not." Seo Moon's facade cracks. "Everyone thinks I'm perfect, but I'm always scared I'll disappoint them. I've spent my life hiding behind a mask." Silence stretches between them. The wind picks up, tugging at her hair. Joo-hyuk's gaze is impossible to read, intense yet gentle. Finally, he leans back, resting against a railing. I like this version of you." His voice is soft, earnest. "I like you." Seo-yeon's chest tightens, as if his words have pierced straight to her heart. She forces a smile. "You don't even know who I am." He tilts his head, studying her. "I know more about you in these few minutes than I ever did before." Her breath catches. A flush rises in her cheeks. She glances down at her hands, gripping the anthology. "Thank you for listening." He offers a small, warm smile. "I should be thanking you." He stands and holds out the book. "May I borrow this?" Seo-yeon nods, hand shaking slightly as she hands it over. In that moment, she feels a surge of something new. Hope, fear, exhilaration all tangled together. Suddenly, the rooftop door swings open. Seo-jin's voice rings out sharp and accusing. "What are you two doing up here?" Her steps are swift, heels clicking against the tile. Seo-yeon's blood runs cold. She tenses, eyes wide. Joo-hyuk's arm falls to his side as he turns toward sound. Seo-jin storms forward, her perfect posture radiating fury. "Seo-jin?" Joo-hyuk's voice wavers. Seo-yeon's gaze flicks from her sister to Joo-hyuk. Panic surges. Has she been unmasked? The familiar mask of confidence shatters. The calm she'd forced herself into crumbles, leaving only the raw truth of her deception. Her chest tightens. This isn't what it looks like. Seo-jin's laughter cuts through the tension, cold and scornful. Oh, please, don't play dumb. I know exactly what's happening. The world tilts. Seo-yeon's heart shatters. Joo-hyuk steps forward, confusion and concern etched on his face. Seo-jin, what? Seo-jin sweeps past them, grabbing the anthology from Joo-hyuk's hands and tossing aside. The pages scatter across the rooftop like wounded birds. Seo-jin glares at her sister. You really think you can just step into my life and take everything I have? Seo-yeon's lips quiver. She opens her mouth, but no words come. The weight of her choices crashes down, suffocating her. Joo-hyuk's hand hovers between the sisters. His eyes flicker from Seo-yeon's tear-streaked face to Seo-jin's furious expression. Seo-yeon, was that you? Silence hangs heavy as the sun dips lower, shadows stretching across the rooftop. Seo-yeon's heart pounds so loud, she fears Joo-hyuk will hear it. She swallows, voice barely a whisper. I'm sorry. The morning bell rings like a distant echo as Seo-yeon steadies herself in the deserted hallway outside the library. Her chest tightens with every passing second, as though time itself conspires to slow her heartbeat. A scattering of students filters through the corridor, oblivious to the turmoil brewing behind the pale green doors. She grips the straps of her backpack until her knuckles whiten, summoning courage to face what comes next. Inside, rows of books stand like silent witnesses. Sunlight filters through tall windows, illuminating drifting motes of dust. The familiar hush of turning pages wraps around Seo-yeon like a comforting cloak. Yet today it feels brittle, as fragile as the secret she carries. She moves to her usual table, placing her anthology of poems in front of her, smoothing the cover with trembling fingertips. Footsteps approach, tentative but deliberate. She looks up and freezes. Han Joo-hyuk stands there, eyes cast down, holding the same poetry anthology she had lent him hours ago. His expression is unreadable, bitterness, curiosity, something softer that she dares not name. For a moment, their gazes meet and hold, the space between them charged with unspoken questions. He clears his throat. May I sit here? Seo-yeon nods, her voice nowhere to be found. He settles across from her, placing the anthology gently on the table. The spine bears a faint crease from his careful reading. For a heartbeat, they simply breathe in sync, sharing the tension in the quiet. Finally, Joo-hyuk lifts his gaze, green eyes earnest. I wanted to talk, he says, voice low, about yesterday. Seo-yeon exhales, a mix of relief and dread. I understand if you hate me, she begins, words catching in her throat. I'm so sorry for deceiving you. He holds up a hand. Don't apologize yet. His eyes soften. I've been thinking all night. He gestures to the book. You showed me beauty in these pages. Poems I never cared to read before. And you spoke with such passion. He brushes a stray strand of hair behind his ear, as if brushing away an impossible memory. I can't unsee that. A flush creeps up Seo-yeon's cheeks. She brushes her skirt, trying to calm the wild flutter in her chest. Sometimes I feel invisible, but those words, they made me feel seen. He nods, leaning forward. I want to know more about you, Seo-yeon, not Seo-jin. The single syllable lingers between them like a fragile promise. Who are you when no one's watching? Her throat goes dry. Nobody has ever asked that. Slowly, she opens the anthology and turns to a marked poem. Her finger traces the lines. Between the attic beams, where sunlight dares to meet the dust, hearts awaken unafraid, bound by nothing but truth. She reads softly, voice trembling. I planted that bookmark there because it reminded me that even in the darkest corners, light can find us. Her eyes meet his. I've spent my life hiding in attics, afraid that if I stepped into daylight, I'd shatter. Joo-hyuk's gaze never wavers. He reaches across the table, fingertips hovering inches from her hand. You're not fragile, he says, each word deliberate. You're astonishing. He lets his finger brush hers, a spark of warmth igniting at the contact. I wish I'd known the real you sooner. Her heart aches in her chest, a sweet ache she's never felt before. She swallows, voice barely audible. I never imagined anyone wanted to know. He smiles, gentle and sincere. I want to read every chapter of you. The metaphor hangs between them, vivid and real. Your dreams, your fears, the novels you hide on your nightstand, everything. Tears sting at Seo-yeon's eyes. She forces a smile, lifting her hand to entwine her fingers with his. The contact sends a rush of electricity straight to her core. You make me brave. The library lights flicker, a soft hum filling the air. Outside, a distant rumble of thunder hints at a coming storm. Nature's echo of the turmoil in their hearts. Joo-hyuk squeezes her hand, grounding her. Then let's face it together. A thunderclap reverberates through the windows, and for a moment, the world narrows to just the two of them. Her quiet confession, his unwavering attention, and the anthology bridging their souls. Every doubt, every fear, every complicated knot of guilt seems to untangle in that charged silence. Seo-yeon breathes in, letting the tension wash away. Promise me one thing, she whispers. He tilts his head, curious. Anything. She closes her eyes, finding her voice. Promise me you'll never love the mask more than you love the person underneath. His thumb strokes the back of her hand. I promise. They sit there, fingers entwined over dog-eared pages, as the storm gathers strength outside. Each drop of rain against the glass feels like a heartbeat, echoing the rhythm of their own. In the hush of the library, they share shy smiles and secret glances, two souls discovering something they never knew they needed. But beneath that shared warmth lies a tremor of uncertainty. Tomorrow, the halls will teem with whispers. Seo-jin's betrayal will linger like a shadow. Yet in this fragile moment, they choose honesty over fear, vulnerability over pretense. And as the thunder rolls, Seo-yeon dares to hope that love, real unmasked love, might just conquer every storm. The next morning, the first bell echoes down the marbled hallway as Kim Soo-yeon stands just inside the classroom door, her fingers curled around the strap of her backpack. A flutter of nerves churns in her stomach. She glances at her reflection in the glass window, a familiar face framed by trembling black hair. Behind that face lies a secret that threatens to shatter everything she and Han Joo-hyuk have begun to build. Moments ago, she'd watched him step into the courtyard, his posture straight. Textbooks pressed his chest as if they were a shield against the world. The way his gaze had found hers across the sea of students. So tender, so filled with hope, made her heart ache with guilt. She had stolen his trust by wearing her sister's mask, but now she feared losing him altogether if she revealed the truth. As the students settle into their seats, Seo-yeon slips to her usual desk near the window. The seat beside her is empty, and for a heartbeat she debates whether she should hide in the back row instead. But when Joo-hyuk appears, sliding silently into the seat next to hers, the whispered rush of her relief is almost audible. His eyes find hers and linger. Those warm green eyes that have already seen deeper into her soul than anyone else ever has. The teacher's voice washes over them, but Seo-yeon's mind is elsewhere. Every word feels distant. Every glance she casts at Joo-hyuk amplified by the pounding of her own heartbeat. Should she tell him now, before class ends? Or wait until study hall, when the library is empty again? The questions swirl in her mind, each one adding another weight to the secret she carries. By mid-morning, the tension becomes unbearable. Seo-yeon's palms sweat on the rough fabric of her desk. She watches Joo-hyuk as he lifts his pen to jot down notes, the soft crease between his brows when he concentrates, the small dimples that appear when he smiles at something only he finds amusing. With every breath, she feels herself slipping deeper into the moral quagmire of her own making. When the bell finally rings for lunch, Joo-hyuk gathers his things and turns to her, a hopeful expression flickering across his face. "Hey," he says quietly, "ready to go to the courtyard?" Seo-yeon swallows, nodding as she closes her notebook. Her voice catches as she follows him out of the room. The open-air courtyard is a calm oasis compared to bustle of the hallway. Shade trees overhead, benches arranged in clusters, and the distant hum of conversation like a gentle current. Joo-hyuk leads her to their favorite spot beneath the cherry blossom tree, where petals drift around them like pale pink snow. He sets down his tray, rice kimchi, and a steaming bowl of soup. "I got your favorite," he says, lifting the lid to reveal her preferred side dish. The thoughtfulness of the gesture tugs at her heart. She forces a smile as she accepts the bowl. They eat in companionable silence for a few moments, the petals swirling to the ground in delicate spirals. Then Joo-hyuk clears his throat, placing his chopsticks across his bowl. "Seo-yeon," he begins, hesitating. "I've been thinking about what you said yesterday, the part about masks." His eyes hold hers, unwavering. "I want to know the real you. Every part. The good, the bad, the parts you hide." Seo-yeon's fork freezes halfway to her lips. Her chest tightens, so severely she wonders if she might not breathe. She peers down at her meal, as if the carbs and vegetables will provide an escape from his earnest gaze. "Joo-hyuk," she whispers, voice trembling. "I owe you the truth." He leans forward, hands folded on the bench between them. "Tell me?" Her pulse thunders in her ears. She glances around at the students laughing on adjacent benches, none suspecting confession poised on her tongue. She inhales, and the words rush out in a torrent. "The person you fell in love with yesterday wasn't Seo-jin at all. It was me, Seo-yeon." His face goes still, the warmth draining from his features. For a moment, he looks as if he might vanish before her eyes. The bowl of soup in her lap trembles, sloshing broth onto her skirt. Seo-yeon's shoulders sag, tears stinging her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she chokes out. "I never meant to hurt you." Joo-hyuk sits back, gaze fixed on the drifting petals. The silence stretches unbearably long. Finally, he inhales and lifts his head, eyes distant. Why did you do it?" The question is soft, but it cuts deeper than any shout. Seo-yeon swallows hard, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I just wanted you to see me. For once, I'm always invisible next to my sister. But when I was pretending, you actually listened. You saw me, and I fell in love with you." Her voice cracks, raw with regret. "I tried to be brave, but I forgot that trust is worth more than any mask." Joo-hyuk's mouth twists, pain flickering in his eyes. He stands abruptly, knocking over his bowl. Soup spills across the bench. Seo-yeon gasps, rushing to steady him, but he brushes her away gently. I need some air." He strides away without looking back. Seo-yeon sinks onto the bench, her sobs swallowed by the breeze. The secret she carried so carefully has shattered everything, her heart, his trust, the fragile bond they shared. The afternoon drags on in a blur of guilt and silence. When she finally gathers the courage to return home, the weight of her confession presses on her chest like a physical force. Every step feels heavier than the last. She barely notices when her mother greets her at the door, glancing up with concern. Upstairs, Seo-yeon collapses onto her bed, clutching the poetry anthology to her chest as if it might offer consolation. She opens to the bookmarked poem about attic beams and sunlight. In the margin, her neat handwriting scrawled, "Truth finds us, even in darkness." Now that truth lies exposed, raw and painful. A buzz on her phone startles her. It's a message from an unknown number. "You've ruined everything." The words sting like ice. She knows who sent it without seeing the name. Her sister. Trembling, Seo-yeon drops the phone. Her reflection in the window, bathed in late afternoon light, seems like a stranger. No mask to hide behind, no sister's identity to borrow. She is alone with her choices, and the consequences loom like storm clouds on the horizon. Joo-hyuk's last words echo in her mind. Trust is worth more than any mask. She clutches the anthology to her chest, tears soaking the cover. For the first time, she understands the cost of honesty and wonders whether love can ever survive a betrayal this deep. Below, Seo-jin paces in her own room, phone pressed her ear. He found out, didn't he? She hisses into the line. Good. Let him suffer, as I did. Let him see what it means to lose everything to his own stupidity. Seo-yeon's heart constricts at the memory of her sister's cold laughter. She tightens her grip on the anthology, resolve hardening in her chest. Tomorrow, she will face Joo-hyuk again. She will apologize, explain, if he'll even listen. But tonight, she allows herself to simply feel the sting of her mistake, the ache of her guilt, and the faintest flicker of hope that maybe, somehow, love can still redeem her unmasked heart. The next morning, the school assembly hall buzzes with the low murmur of hundreds of students filing into their seats. Banners for the upcoming cultural festival drape the stage, festive and bright. But an undercurrent of tension ripples to the hall as whispers of yesterday's drama spread faster than wildfire. Kim Seo-yeon sits alone on the far left, edges of her uniform skirt damp from tears she fought back on the way to school. Every creak of a chair, every shuffling step seems magnified in the hush that fills the air. At center stage, the principal takes the microphone, preparing to welcome the students. Seo-yeon's hands tremble in her lap as she stares at the polished wood floor. She barely notices when Han Joo-hyuk slips into the row behind her, his presence a jagged reminder of confession that shattered their fragile bond. He sits rigidly, gaze fixed forward, jaw clenched so tightly his knuckles turn white. Before the principal can speak, a sudden commotion erupts at the entrance. All heads swivel as Kim Seo-jin strides into the hall, heels clicking like a gavel. Her hair is flawless, her uniform immaculate. She wears confidence like armor, but there's fire in her eyes, cold, determined, and directed unmistakably at her twin. Seo-yeon's heart lurches. She lowers her gaze, praying not to meet those accusing eyes. But Seo-jin marches down the aisle, hands clenched at her sides, until she stands directly in front of her sister. The auditorium falls into an uneasy silence as Seo-jin raises her chin and levels her gaze at the assembly. I have something to share, Seo-jin announces, voice carrying effortlessly to every corner of the room. The principal blinks, taken aback, and the students exchange puzzled looks. Joo-hyuk's head snaps around. His eyes widen when they land on Seo-yeon's trembling form. Seo-jin inhales a deliberate, polished breath. Yesterday, I discovered that my so-called perfect sister, she pauses, a cruel smile curling her lips, has been pretending to be me. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Yes, you heard correctly. Kim Seo-yeon walked into my life, into my relationship under my name. Seo-yeon's throat closes. She rises to her feet, shaking. Seo-jin, please don't. Seo-jin's voice cuts her off. No, listen. She turns away from the audience, narrowing her gaze on Seo-yeon. She stole my identity to seduce my boyfriend, Han Joo-hyuk, and nearly ruined everything I work for. A stunned hush. Joo-hyuk's face goes ashen. The boy beside him whispers urgently, Is that true? Joo-hyuk sits frozen, pupils dilated, staring at Seo-yeon as if she's a stranger on stage. Seo-jin steps forward, voice rising with triumphant vindication. I can't believe I fell for a lie. But you, Joo-hyuk, she turns toward him, were too blind to see the difference between a genuine connection and a cheap imitation. Her words land like blows. Students recoil as if struck. Seo-yeon's legs buckle. She clutches the back of the seat in front of her, unable to form a sound. Tears spill down her cheeks as the entire assembly watches her unravel. Seo-jin sweeps a hand toward the stage. I demand the principal dismiss this pathetic charade. She glances at the principal, eyes blazing. If that's your real sister, she has no place here, no right to humiliate me further. The principal stammers, face flushed. Miss Kim, this is a personal matter. Seo-jin interrupts, voice icy. It's everyone's matter, principal. We deserve the truth. She turns to the students, voice softening to a honeyed sneer. Isn't it sickening to think your top student could be a fraud? A chorus of whispers rises, some of admiration for Seo-jin's boldness, others of sympathy for Seo-yeon. Joo-hyuk bites his lip, his fingers trembling around the armrest. Seo-jin paces the stage, the click of her heels echoing through the hall. Seo-yeon, if you can't even face your own lies, then leave. Her voice breaks, packed with years of resentment. Just go. Seo-yeon stands, whole body shaking. Her lips part, but no words come. She lifts her gaze, meeting Joo-hyuk's eyes for a heartbeat. His face reflects shock, hurt, confusion. She closes her eyes, tears streaming, and after a moment's torturous pause, she turns and flees the hall. The principal steps forward to restore order as students rise to their feet, murmuring and craning for a last glimpse of Seo-yeon's retreating figure. Joo-hyuk watches her go, his chest heaving, and finally forces himself up. He pushes through the crowd, eyes downcast, shoulders hunched. Outside the hall, Seo-yeon runs down the corridor, sobs racking her frame. Lockers clang behind her, warnings of consequences echoing in her ears. She rounds a corner and presses herself against the cool wall, sliding to the floor. Her head bows, tears falling in uncontrolled streams. Footsteps echo. Joo-hyuk pauses at the end of the hall, leaning against a bulletin board plastered with event flyers. He watches her for what feels like an eternity before unsteadily walking toward her. "Seo-yeon," he says, voice low and trembling. She looks up, face streaked with tears and mascara. His eyes burn with betrayal. "Why?" he whispers, voice cracking. "Why would you do that?" She closes her eyes, biting her lip. I wanted you to notice me, to care." He shakes his head, voice hollow. "You destroyed my trust." He steps back, pain etched on his face. "I thought I knew you, but you were someone else entirely." She tries to reach for him, but he doesn't let her. He turns and walks away, leaving her kneeling alone in the silent corridor. Seo-yeon's sobs fade into a whisper as the reality of Seo-jin's betrayal, and her own, settles like cold stone in her chest. The laughter and chatter from the assembly hall feel distant now, eclipsed by the emptiness that swallows her whole. Alone in the empty hallway, she clutches a poetry anthology to her chest, its pages crumpled and torn in her frantic escape. The words that once gave her courage now haunt her, hearts awaken unafraid, bound by nothing but truth. But that truth has left her exposed, broken, without masks or safety nets. And somewhere in the distance, she can hear the echo of her sister's triumph and Joo-hyuk's heartbreak. A torrential rain pounds a school rooftop as Han Joo-hyuk stands alone beneath the darkened sky, drenched to the bone. Each drop feels like a heartbeat echoing in his chest, reminding him of the pain etched into every memory of the past days. He closes his eyes, recalling the hollow triumph in Seo-jin's voice and the shattered trust in Seo-yeon's tear-streaked face. But beneath the hurt, a new clarity flickers, one that will not be extinguished by betrayal. Stay with me just a moment longer, and you'll see how truth can heal even the deepest wounds. He shivers against the cold, then steels himself and dashes toward the stairwell. Every step echoes with determination until he bursts into the empty hallway leading to the library. The door stands ajar, rainwater dripping from his frame. Pushing it open, he finds Seo-yeon curled on the floor beneath the poetry section, hugging the tattered anthology to her chest. Her black hair clings to her face, eyes swollen from tears. "Seo-yeon," he calls softly, voice catching. She flinches at the sound, then looks up, vulnerability and shame mingling in her gaze. He kneels beside her, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "May I sit?" She nods, and he settles beside her, ignoring the dampness seeping through his uniform. They sit in silence, the storm lashing the windows, as if testing their resolve. Finally, Joo-hyuk picks up a fallen page from the anthology. He smooths the corners gently, reading the familiar lines aloud. "Even broken hearts can learn to beat as one, when hands reach out unafraid of scars." Seo-yeon inhales sharply. "I ruined everything," she whispers. "I lied. I betrayed your trust." He looks up, green eyes shimmering with emotion. "You did lie," he agrees, voice low. and it hurt me more than I thought possible. He pauses, choosing his words with care. But I've spent the past days wondering what I truly felt when I was with you, the real you. Her lips tremble. You'll hate me now. He shakes his head, placing the poem gently in her lap. No, I realized something important. I never loved Seo-jin. I was in love with an illusion. He searches her face, sincerity clear in every line of his features. When we talked beneath the cherry blossoms, it wasn't a mask I was holding. It was you, your laughter, your passion, your courage. Tears slide down Seo-yeon's cheeks. I'm sorry you had to find out like this. Joo-hyuk takes her hand, warm despite the cold air. Thank you for showing me what it means to be true. He squeezes her fingers. I was afraid of vulnerability. I hid behind a perfect girlfriend because it felt safe. But you taught me that safety is nothing compared to honesty. Her heart flutters, hope stirring amidst the storm. Can you forgive me? He brushes a wet strand of hair from her forehead. I already have. He rises and extends his hand. May I have this dance? She stares at him, confusion and joy mingling in her eyes. A dance? He offers a small smile. Yes, a dance without masks under the storm. Seo-yeon hesitates only a moment before taking his hand. They stand together, bodies close as the rain hammers the windows. He wraps his free arm around her waist. She rests her head on his shoulder. In the dim light of the library, surrounded by books that once felt like safe havens, they sway to the rhythm of their own heartbeat. Each step dissolves the shadows of betrayal. Each breath draws them closer to a new beginning forged in truth. Outside, the storm roars, but inside, they find warmth in one another's arms. When the rain finally begins to ease, Joo-hyuk whispers against her hair, "Let's start over." Seo-yeon lifts her eyes, shining with fresh tears, this time of relief and love. "Without masks," she agrees. He presses a gentle kiss to her forehead. "Without masks." And as the first shafts of dawn light filter through the windows, they emerge from the library hand in hand, ready to face the world together, unmasked, unafraid, and entirely in love.